let's talk about Kung Fury, a 2015, apparently Swedish martial arts comedy film.
I felt the film was very realistic.
It's amazing.
I love that the Hoff was in it. I fucking love it. I could only describe it as better than sexual intercourse. I'm basically horny 99% of the time. 96% of the time, it's because I'm thinking about David Hasselhoff.
Speaking of horns, there was a couple of Viking women in this film, Stu.
I thought you were going to say fucking Triceracop.
Oh, yes. And a dinosaur. How did I forget that?
To be fair, I always thought tits and heavy machinery were my thing. Turns out it's also dinosaur cops and Viking women.
So what do we think of the main character then, lads? The protagonist, Kung Fury.
He's fucking fantastic. Like, I love him. I like the introduction that we get for him. You know, where we see him in his apartment, just sat there, looking at the fire, sat next to a woman. Yeah, that's my bicep. And then he gets a phone call from the police saying there's a machine, a video game machine that has come to life and is just killing people for the crack. And that's when we see him jump in his car. He's the best ever character in anything.
He's like a cross between Daniel LaRusso in The Shocker from Spider-Man. That's what I was getting from his character when he gets struck by lightning and bitten by a snake at the same time.
I love that the cobra that becomes his like guide just drives around the sky on a jet ski. But yeah, it turns out if you get hit by lightning and bitten by a cobra at the same time, you just end up learning ancient kung fu from the Chosen One somehow.
You are the Chosen One. No, what does he say to him? Knock, knock. Who's there?
Knuckles.
And then he kicks him in the air and then flies up so high and kicks him back down into a fucking fuel truck that explodes.
The only reason he's gone to fight him as well is because the fucking arcade machine was swearing at a puppy.
Like, swearing at a puppy is pretty bad crime, like, mate, innit? Out of nowhere, who gets teleported to Kung Fury City? Just Adolf Hitler?
Never in my life did I think the most appropriate word to describe Hitler would be camp.
Kung Fury.
Yeah,
Hitler and any mention of camp should be kept well away from each other, but they're one and the same thing in this film.
Oh my days.
I love the way they triangulate the call, but by doing so, they find out that it was Hitler who's calling them. And it turns out, though, Hitler is pretty powerful with a telephone, isn't he?
Yeah. Great. See, this is one of my favourite scenes, Stu. It was just absolutely brilliant. I mean, shooting through the phone. Why people not try that before? Kids are never off the phone these days. So.
Do you know my favourite bit of this film? Other than all of it, laser raptors.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Pardon?
You go ahead, mate. Go ahead. I don't think you were finished.
I was just going to say, I really love dinosaurs, but if you add...
Can't hold yourself together.
Lasers. If you add lasers to their if you add lasers to their eyes, it just somehow makes them more fantastic, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It reminds me a little bit of the laser in the eyes of the llama from Llamageddon.
Amazing. I love this film just for the complete fucking randomness.
So cool.
I love how they just decided they're going to ride a T-Rex to Asgard. It's like, and then Thor's helmet, when he appears, Thor's helmet doesn't even fit his head, does it? It's just fucking hanging off his face. And he rocks up and says, "Stop. Hammer time." I was like, yes.
And then he transports him to Nazi Germany, which is actually pretty much Tekken Tag Tournament 2.
Yes.
It was better than watching The Matrix Reloaded.
There's a lot of things better than watching The Matrix Reloaded. It was one of my favourite scenes, this one, I think, when he lands in Hitler's lair and he has this sort of Street Fighter-esque scene. But what on earth are the Nazis doing in the background? They're just sort of dancing. They're just dancing on a loop.
I think they were trying to like emulate old fighting games, though, weren't they?
Yeah.
Somehow the hacker guy turns up as a robot with the two Viking girls, the T-Rex and the Dino Cop. They just come in out of nowhere to fight Hitler and his big gold eagle.
Yeah, that's because Thor, obviously, transported himself through time to the future, and then he went and got Hackerman and Triceracop, and then brought them back in time to Nazi Germany. And Hackerman is such a good hacker that he hacked himself into a computer robot man. Come on, it's simple.
He's got a hacking mitt as well. Extra grip on the keys. Does the hacker guy not remind you of that character off Make Love Not Warcraft on South Park, where he's just sitting at his computer all day, just smashing people with his little gaming mitt?
What did you think of his spirit animal?
Someone drew that really well. I like the change in animation style. Like, when he dies, he goes into a cartoon. I think his spirit animal was a bit of a dick, really, wasn't he?
Oh.
Kung Fury kills Kung Fury with a fucking Gatling gun, but then he dies, and the snake's like, "Oh, you're dead," and he's like, "No, I'm a police officer. You're under arrest for obstruction of justice." And then he comes back to life. Logic.
I mean, extra logic. It then says, skip to 2 days earlier in the future. This was just 30 minutes of really shite but brilliant jokes packed into, like, a really shite way to make it perfection. And it was fucking brilliant, wasn't it?
It was incredible. I'm so glad that I've seen this film.
If you liked Kung Fury, please let us know down in the comments. I've been Hugh.
I've been me.
I've been the other one.
See you later.